Saludos fanáticos de la lucha libre y fanáticos de la PRWA. Me encuentro aquí hoy con uno de los hijos adoptivos de Puerto Rico, un luchador que estuvo mucho tiempo haciendo campaña en Puerto Rico en WWC. Muchos de ustedes lo conocen y se recuerdan de él. Su nombre es Brent Dail. Brent, how are you doing, my friend?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm
Good to be
doing
here.
good. I'm doing good, man. I'm happy to see you. It's always nice talking to you. It's always nice having a conversation with you. You got hella stories of the many
Yeah,
years you were in Puerto Rico, man.
yeah, it was a crazy time down there, man. That's for sure. I mean, there's so many of them that I don't even
How long were you in Puerto Rico, man?
5 years. So there's a
5 years.
lot crammed into 5 years. You know what I mean?
A lot can
You
happen
know,
in
and
Puerto
by the
Rico.
way, mi gente es, yo no hablando mucho español, but yo hablando en palabras instead of oración completo. So, ¿sí entiende? Okay, there you go.
So come on, man. You hang around with Ricky Santana and Fido Sierra like every other weekend. So how you haven't learned Spanish yet?
Oh no, I know Spanish, but you get me a couple of drinks in me, then I'll start speaking it fluently.
It comes out
You know,
naturally.
it just starts coming out. It's like I'll be sitting there talking to somebody, and they'll be like, "Do you understand me?" I say, "Yeah, you just have to speak slower." And I'd say that in Spanish, "Tu hablando suave, yo entiendo." I'll understand you. But
So let me ask you this, because you were in Puerto Rico for quite some time.
mhm.
I believe that when you went there, you didn't know shit about English, Spanish.
I didn't know nothing. I didn't know
So
Jack. I mean, I might look Puerto Rican, but don't let the appearance fool you.
how do you work your way around people when you realize, holy crap, I'm in Puerto Rico and I better make it work?
At first time when I got there, it was funny. When I first got there, Gerald Briscoe sent me down there. And then, I got picked up at the airport by Atletico, the referee, who definitely didn't speak a lick of English. And I had no clue. I was talking to him, and he's like, "Oh, drive to oficina, to the office." Oh, okay. So I go there. I see Carlos and Jovica for like 2 seconds. They're like, "Okay, this is what we're going to do. You're going to go to the Dahlia. Okay, we'll see it. We'll see you like Wednesday or whatever. Oh, sorry. It was yeah, Thursday. We'll show up Thursday and Juana Diaz. I was like, oh, okay. I don't know where the hell's Juana Diaz. Anyway, so I get there. They drop me off at the Dahlia. Nobody spoke a lick of English, and I have no clue what I'm doing. I go ahead and I call Gerald Briscoe and tell him what's going on. He goes, all right. He says, well, welcome to the wrestling business. Call me in a couple of months. Click. That was
Jeez.
it. I was like, I think I'm on my own now. I started walking around the place. I started trying to talk to people, and my stupid gringo butt didn't really understand. Okay, yeah, you're in a different country. This is their language. Okay, eventually, you're country mouse, but I'd come up and talk to people, and they just look at me like I had worms crawling out of my ears. Where is this? And they'd be like, even cops would look at me like I was stupid. And I was like, okay. So later on, I kind of got with the program and understood that you need to learn some Spanish, or you need to attempt to speak Spanish. So what would happen is how I got around is I would attempt to speak Spanish to people, and then they would go. Everybody who was kayfabing me over the whole entire island would go, "Oh, I speak English. Oh, you do? Oh, yeah. They teach it in the schools here." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then they'd speak to me in kind of decent English, and they'd
Uh-huh.
be like, that's how it worked most of the time. But it was always, and I try to tell all the guys that would come in, I said, listen, I learned the hard way. When you come to their island, that's their culture. So if you attempt it, they'll let you know that they speak English. But if
So
if you don't, you're on your own.
was there people that would like because there's many marks out there that will do anything for wrestlers, like they will drive you around, they will show you around,
Oh
and
yeah.
so did you run into some of those that probably help you a little bit along the way?
Mostly like, I hate to toot my own horn, but it's mostly women. I mean,
Okay.
I mean,
Not wrong with that.
no, I mean, that's mostly what it was. I mean, besides, the boys helping me out and stuff and different guys giving me rides and whatever, I started like getting to know a lot of different Puerto Rican girls, and it got a little crazy after a while. I mean, Ricky Santana kind of taught me well, so I like got real good at working a couple of different girls at a time.
Okay.
I had my one girl that I knew, and I dated her for like 3 years down there, but I always had somebody Somebody would come and do my laundry. Some would come and give me food, give me a ride. Started working like that after a while. I started like learning the program after a while.
That was that rock star life in Puerto Rico.
Pretty much, I started learning. Because when I first got there, like I was like, I didn't. I was like I don't know what. I think I had like chick repellent on or something. Because Ricky Santana told me, he said, "Listen, kid, they're gorgeous girls down here. Listen to you. Are any of them on TV?" I said, "No." He goes, "Are you?" "Yeah." "Realize something. You're the star, not them." I was like, ah. So then that kind of clicked in my head. And then after that, then I started, kind of following suit, and I've done that through most of my whole life.
So how's the you hang around with Ricky Santana? What was your clique when you were there? Like the guys that you would go out with and have fun. Who were they?
Oh wow, I'd go out with just about anybody. I think I was the one that was probably notorious for going to wrestlers' court constantly for breaking kayfabe. So like, because Carlos is big on that. I'm actually the only guy I think in the history of the wrestling business to win wrestlers' court. And I'll tell you the story. See what I tell you, dude. You get me talking, I'll start talking. All right. What happened was we had this thing where Black Rose at the time was like a heel and I was a babyface.
I was just on the phone with her this morning, by the way.
Well, the funny part is I had a little thing for her back then, but we got to be really good. I ended up dating her cousin or something later on. But anyways, long story short, I get in trouble for breaking kayfabe because I'm trying to talk to her in front of the marks.
Okay.
So they bring me up on charges of breaking kayfabe and stuff, and we're at some charity softball game we're doing, and Ricky and Fidel bring me up on charges, and Fantasy decides to be, said, "I'll be your lawyer." Okay, so Carlos was the judge, and Eddie and Carly were the jury, and some of the other boys were the jury. Well, anyways, they go through the whole thing, and Fantasy like argued big time. She goes, "I'm going to tell you this: your boys break kayfabe all the time, and this, that." And I'm sitting there just like this, and Carlos goes, "I think I've heard enough. Case dismissed." I get up. I'd never seen Ricky and Fidel so hot in my entire life. Oh, they were yelling at me the whole way home. Everything you could think of. They were just, "I can't believe this freaking gringo greenhorn." Blah 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 blah. I was like, "Hey man, I can't help it. I won."
I was talking to Jordan Smith about a couple of days, 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And he tells me the story that he was hanging around with Santana and Sierra, and I think you were probably in the mix. I don't know. And he says that Fidel Sierra says, "You know what, guys? I'm gonna go around the corner here. I'm gonna go see something." See something was that they never found him. And
that's happened before. Yeah.
6-7 days later, they didn't know what else to tell Fantasy. And the one day that they were gonna, like spill the beans, he showed up at the door, and there must have been a good party.
Stuff. You can basically get kind of lost down there. In certain ways, but you can find your way around. Especially if you start to kind of develop a survival instincts when you're there. You really get good at it, and I got really good at reading people, like their body language, because I was not very good at like understanding the language, even though I tried. Because people would talk like da 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 da. I'm like, "You sound like you're singing. I don't understand." And I would hear it, and then eventually I started like, you know what? I'm going to pick this stuff up because I know they're talking about me. But I got where I got used to like reading their body language. So now it really helped me out in life. That's one thing that I have to admit that helped me out the rest of my life is I got really good at reading people. I got really good at reading them. I got really good at understanding how people act and how they say things and things like that just by being there, because I had to learn that type of thing. But what I was talking to you earlier about the cliques, I think I hung about with just about everybody. I'd hang out with Carly and Eddie. I'd hang out with Ricky and Fidel. I'd hang out with, whoever came into town. And I just had a good time and stuff. And, like I said, when I was with Ricky and Fidel, most of the time I was there, I was a baby face and they were heels. So what they would do is, the funny story we talked before, I think the way the whole Corey Camino's freaking first gimmick came up with was, or the Road Runner, or whatever you want to call it. The whole thing came up because what they would do is they would drop me off like almost a half a mile down the road on the way, and then say, "All right, kid, walk the rest of the way." So people would see me walking up to the building, and I'd be like, "So what's this? My gimmick? What am I, a bum or something?"
A friend of mine told me that many years ago, Dutch Mantel worked an angle where he got kicked out of the locker room, and he was the heel, and they kicked him out of the locker room. So he would tell his ride to drop him off like a couple of streets, and play it like he was, walking and had nothing. That he did play that part real well.
Oh yeah, it got to where, after a while, so I just went with it. And I said, well, how do I get these people going? So I started like running around the building and stuff like that, trying to get the fans going, whatever I could do. I was like, listen, my job's to get over. So what do I need to do to get over? And then when I was a heel, I was the same way. What do I need to do to get over?
When you first started, I'm sorry, you were going to say?
No, that was gonna lead into the story. I mean, we had talked about it before with when I became a heel. I was doing all right, and then I had a week one time with Roddy Piper when he was down there, and we had talked about before. And he actually was the guy that shaped Senor Estados Unidos. He was the guy that told me what I needed to do and how I needed to do it, and it just worked from there. And then after that, I was like a heat magnet. So he told me exactly what I needed to do. So
I'll tell you this: I met Rowdy actually like 11 days before he died, and when I talked to him, he came to me and he said, "How's your family doing?"
Yeah,
and that shocked me in such a way that he will take the time to ask me such a thing, because anybody else would have just like shake your hand, how you doing? Okay, keep going.
Right.
No, he actually took time. How was Rowdy Piper when you met him? I was working with him.
He already knew that I was like Gerald Briscoe. A lot of the guys that would come there kind of like, I guess they got the 411 that Gerald Briscoe had sent me there. So, even the Undertaker, when I came to WWE tryouts, he knew that I was Jerry's boy. He already knew it. So, that's how it would normally work. So it was kind of like people would kind of take me under their wing a little bit and try to teach me. And I was just a sponge. I would sit there and listen. I'd barely talk. I'd have a couple drinks with them, chill out, and just let them sit there and just pour, it got to be so bad. Like Sabu was real good at it. And a lot of guys, they would just pour so much knowledge into me. Guys that came in from ECW, like Sandman, Sabu, Sandman, Abdullah the Butcher, guys like that. They would just pour all this knowledge into me and just tell me all kinds of stuff. And I would just sit back and just be quiet. I'd ask them a couple of questions here and there, but most of the time I just let them talk. So
I don't know if it was you who told me or it was
and Dutch, another one. So go ahead.
Abdullah came to the locker room once and he was so bloody, and people knew to hide when he would come into the locker room because he would do crazy shit. Like I think it was JDS told me that he grabbed, I think it was a referee or somebody that was there, and he covered him in blood, and people would run away from him because he would do stuff like that.
He loved doing that kind of thing. I mean, I thought it was funny because when I got there, I kind of knew who, it made me laugh because I'd screw with Abdullah. I remember one time we went to, he would always I'd always hang out with him when he would come into town. And I remember one time we were going to Trinidad, and they had me under a mask when I went to Trinidad, and we're riding around and we have drivers. People are driving us everywhere. I mean, we were like kings there. They treated us like that. They treated us like gold there. And the houses were sold out both nights. It was really cool. Well, anyways, Abdul was riding with us, and we stop at a KFC, and I lean out the window and I go, "I knew it." I start pointing at Abdul, and he goes, "Hey, champ, it's safe. It's safe." I just started dying laughing. I knew you'd do it. I knew you could, because that's where he'd want to go every time we go to eat. He'd want to go to KFC or he'd eat at the hotel. That was mostly what he would do.
So I've always heard that Abdullah's like a sweetheart.
Good dude. I thought he was a good dude. I mean, I don't want to like mess up his gimmick or anything, but he was one of those guys that just had He was like he reminded me. I mean, a lot of the guys were like that. They portrayed a gangster mentality. You know what I
But
mean? Kind of but a good guy. You know what I mean? But had that aura about them that it was like it was almost like the movie. Okay, the best way I can describe most of my time in Puerto Rico. Have you ever seen the movie The Bronx Tale?
no.
Okay, well, in the movie, Sonny and then the kid that he helps with, he helps and grooms him. That's kind of was how I felt it was. You know, a lot of how everything was. You know, it was kind of with different people. You know, like Jovica, Carlos, anybody. I mean, everybody. I mean, Abdullah, Cheeky Star. You know, Hurricane Gastia. Me and Hurricane Gastia were big Scarface fans. So I said, El mundo is mío. He'd be like, the world is my brother. We would say it
So
every time we see each other, you know.
because I did heard that Abdullah is a nice person, but when it comes to working the ring, if you step in front of him, he will swing at you, and he doesn't have like a stop button. He will go there and run you over. When he gets back
I've
into the
seen
locker
him
room.
in matches do it. I never really got to work with him in the ring. But because a lot of the times we would both be like baby faces at the same time or heels at the same time. They would do that so that like when he would come into town, I'd take him places. So it was like, I mean, most of the time he would come in, he would ride with me or, he would ride with Carly and Eddie or whatever, and that was just, that was the whole thing. I mean, he was basically like, like arms and fingernails and everything coming at you. He was like a windmill coming at you the whole time, and you better get out of the way. But I used to think was so funny is I remember seeing him when I was a young kid, and he was like, he was kind of terrifying. Then when I go to Puerto Rico and meet him, he's a really nice guy, and then I see him at the end of the thing, he'd do Living in America and do like a dance for the crowd, and I thought that was pretty cool. But
Yeah.
stuff like that.
When he changed his gimmick to like a baby face and he started dancing and shit, I think that was like a redo of Abdullah the Butcher, because when he started dancing reggaeton and all that stuff, I think he went super over with the people.
Yeah, he was. I admit it because he would definitely get the people going, like because it's all and when it all comes down to it, it's all about the fans and what they want to see. Because a lot of times too, I could do amateur wrestling. I've done shooting, and I mean, golly, from jujitsu to catch wrestling to all that stuff. But amateur, all that good stuff. But anyways, I mean, I knew I could stretch you if I needed to, but maybe that's not what the fans wanted to see. So,
Yeah.
when I was there, I was a heel. They wanted me to cheat. I cheated. They wanted me to do this. I started like figuring out things, trying to play with different stuff, things of that nature. So,
Did
you know,
you, when you went there for the first time, did you ever had a hard time with anybody in the locker room? Like people that tried
uh,
to.
I would say somebody, but I don't necessarily want to get heat,
I
but,
mean, you don't have to say the name.
but you might know who I'm talking about.
Okay. Okay.
But anyways, it was kind of the booker at the time
Okay.
before Ricky Santana took over. He basically kind of told me when I first got there I was getting over when I first got there, and then he yelled at me when I got into the locker room and told me basically, just know his name is numero uno.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I
know what I
know.
mean? Okay. Anyways,
I
he
know what
basically,
you mean.
yeah, he basically brought me in the shower and kind of like yelled at me and told me, that I can't do that no more from now on. Just walk to the ring and then walk back. And then, after a while of doing that, Ricky Santana, like when he started, we were roommates, he started like yelling at me. He goes, "Man, I heard from Briscoe that you had like charisma and all this other kind of stuff. And Dory Funk," he goes, "You're like freaking vanilla damn ice cream out there." And I said, "Can I tell you what's going on?" He goes, "Yeah." And I told him what Invader told me. Oh, well, I already said his name. So
Good job.
anyways,
Good job.
so anyways, huh?
Good
What?
job.
Yeah. Well, anyways, hey, what doesn't matter. You kind of pretty much know who it is, anyways.
Right.
Anyways, he said,
Anytime you say it in wrestling in Puerto Rico, they took you to the showers. They know who it is. So don't worry
yeah.
about
Well, anyways, long story short, he basically told me, he said, "Man, I don't care if you turn around to the crowd tonight and spread your butt cheeks and fart at the crowd." He said, "You better get over tonight. You better do something." I said, "Okay." He said, "No, you're out of here." And I'd been there like 3 months. So I was like, all right. So I did. I got in the back, and he gave me some guy to go a Broadway or draw with, and I was literally picking this guy up at the end of the match.
Okay.
This guy couldn't go no more. He was like puking into his mask. That's how bad it was. And I get in the back, and he just starts screaming at me. And then I remember, God rest his soul, Hercules Ayala said, man, you better not take that. And I said, well, he's the booker. Why can't I can't, I mean, I'm just trying to do what I need to do here. I'm not trying to like ruffle any feathers or get heat or anything like that. He goes, no, man. He said, brother, you could stretch him 4 ways till Sunday. He said, brother, he says, go talk to him later when everything's died down. I said, okay. So I go and talk to him later on. And I basically told him, hey, listen, man, you got a problem with me? He said, no, and he was cool. He's like, we kind of squashed everything. And I don't know. He got mad about something that night. Next thing I know, next day he wasn't even there. Never came back. Never seen him again. So I don't know if him and Carlos got into it or something. I mean, there was other situations, I believe, what were going on at the time, not just, greenhorn me at the time. So, it was kind of like
everything, top of everything. And that's probably,
I think it was kind of like a just reach to a head, and it was just like, okay, the straw that broke the camel's back eventually, so. And then, I mean, and I didn't want to like have any heat with the guy or anything.
You just want to respect.
I respected him. And at the same time, I wanted you to respect me at the same time, because, I'm just trying to listen to you and listen to what you're telling me to do. So, yeah, but that's pretty much it on that story. So
who you think you had the best matches with in Puerto Rico?
Oh, wow. God, I had so many good ones. I would say, one match I had outside of the States that I'm going to say this and probably might get a little heat for it. I don't know, but I actually won the Universal Heavyweight title, but I won it in the States.
Okay.
And it was with Apollo. He was the champ at the time. It's actually in Wikipedia.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, it doesn't say that I'm recognized. But we had a good match. He was the champ at the time. I had a great match with him. It was like 20 minutes, 30-minute match. And it was like, and we were in like Palmetto, Florida or something, but it did very well. It was a great match. It was on YouTube. I don't know if it's still there or not, but because certain things I would put music to it, and then they tell me I'm disclaimers and all that crap. So that's basically, I had great matches with Apollo. I had great matches with Mr. 450 or Mecha Wolf or whatever you want to call his name is now. I had great matches with him. Good matches with Eddie Colon. I wrestled Eddie a lot when I was the Puerto Rican champ. Orlando, Orlando, golly, Alex Montavo, Chris Joel. I mean, there's some Chicky Star. I mean, me and Ricky were a tag team. It was fun. There's just so many people. There was so many matches. It just Abad. I had a lot of good matches. A lot of Jose Rivera Jr. I mean, I can just start throwing them out there still. Chris Candido.
He did actually had a run in Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, there is a match there that we actually was never filmed. We were in Cedra. I'll tell you about that. We were in Cedra, and they were on their way out. Him and Sonny were on their way out. They did tape a match the week before, and I think it was in WWC. I wish they would have taped this match, but they never did. Now, Chris has wrestled with all the greats. God rest his soul. He had wrestled with all these greats. Well, anyways, he had a match with me in Cedra, and we're in the back, and they tell us basically, the camera's not here yet. The cameras are not here yet. All the stuff isn't. We need a match that's going to be 30 minutes to 45 minutes.
Jeez.
They said, you two need to go out there and do it. And Chris goes, well, we're on our way out. Why don't we make it a loser leave town match? I said, okay, cool. I said, man, I wish they were taping this. Me and him had like, Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle level match. I mean, it was nuts. And at the end, he did the honor at the end, and that whole crowd went freaking nuts because he got out on the mic and he started talking, and he'd have, whoever, I think it was Conor Moniz, like translated what he was saying and saying, that, it's either you or me, and it was a really good match. And he told me when it was done, I mean, I have to I'm glad he said this, but he said, you were actually, I can't believe one of the top 5 best matches I've ever had in my entire career was with some young kid from freaking Puerto Rico. I was like, really? He goes, and he wrestled some of the best and former NWA world champion. So, it was like, that was a great little honor to hear from him. So,
Cedra has always been a good town
it was packed. It was like a little small town outside of Caguas. That's where we did really well. We do like during that time I think the reason why a lot of that stuff started to shift after a while is Carlos was smart. What happened is IWA would only do the big towns.
I know.
And so Carlos started going to all the small towns.
Yeah.
And then what he would do is it looked good on camera. And then he started going to all these other towns. And then IWA wouldn't do that, even though they were doing really well. And I think that's how the tide started to shift after a while, because we started building ourselves back up in other areas, so.
I got a good friend of mine from that era that actually worked with you, Sal. He tells me the same thing.
Yeah.
While IWA was doing big venues, we were doing the small towns, and we were packing the houses, and everything was looking great on paper.
Oh yeah, it did. And that's the thing. And Carlos had camera tricks he would do that even I even employed later on, but basically like make it look full, like certain little camera tricks and things like that, putting everybody on one side of the building and stuff like that, and put nobody over here. And then kind of cutting it off where you never filmed over here, where you could like, smoke and mirrors, so, and it did. And it worked, it worked.
So there were many guys that I know you worked with when they were just in their beginning stages. Evilise, Mecha Wolf, just to name a few, Eddie, Carly. Can you tell me stories about these people that are actually now stars, of professional wrestling around the world? But there was a Brent Dail right there to help them, shine that diamond when they were, young kids.
Yeah, I think after a while, I think Carlos, I was green for a couple of years, and then I'd been a stable down there for a while, and I just started sticking to good old fashioned wrestling a lot of times, and I would all right, so I throw in some high flying stuff that I was taught and whatever, and start doing that. Well, I think what ended up happening was, Carlos started to get confidence, and Jovica started to get confidence in me and saying, listen, work with this kid. I want you to work with this kid. You tell us about him. See what you think. And then I would try to do stuff that would make sense. Like guys like, them. And then there were the Mucha Lucha kids, like BJ, Ricochet, Angel, all those guys. They would have a school that they were going to, or Isaac Lasario or whoever, and they'd send me to these places and have me work with these guys. And then I would have to come back and give a report and tell them what I thought of them. Or when I got done in the match, I would come in the back and Carl said, okay, what do you think? And I would tell them, and I always was tried to be very, cause I was a coach. I'm a coach, and, I'm a coach by trade.
Yeah.
But in my heart, I've done really good in amateur wrestling. I've coached MMA champions and stuff like that. So, basically what I do is I just study. I look at people, and then just try to tweak whatever they have and try to make it better than what it is, and just hide weaknesses and things of that nature and accentuate their strengths. I mean, that's basically what I would do in matches. And sometimes I'd have to put myself in my own moves, things like that. I mean, but whatever would work, because to me, it was about the product, because the way it looked at, it ain't necessarily about me. It ain't, you got to understand that in this business. And a lot of people, I think, don't understand that it's not necessarily about you. It's not, I know the whole cliche term, best for business, but basically I lived that. It's like, basically whatever is going to work, but at the same time, I want to get myself over at the same time, but whatever you need done, I will do. But at the same time, you got to help me out too at the same time. But, I mean, that's what I tried to do. Basically,
one of those cases that you can put somebody over, but that doesn't mean that you're necessarily burying yourself by putting somebody over.
I never did that. If I ever had to, I would try to make it, because I watched a lot of tapes and things like that of like, Benoit and friggin' Eddie Guerrero. I watched matches of I would watch all the technicians. I would watch guys like Ric Flair. I'd watch all those guys, and I would try to. And I modeled a lot of my style after Eddie Guerrero because I think that's kind of what they wanted me to do. So like was kind of to have the mixture of the amateur wrestling or shoot style wrestling with the high flying and all that stuff. But when I was a heel, I didn't have to do as much because you don't ever outshine the baby face. But at the same time, you got to make sure that the people are into what you're doing. So I would just try to do that. Just have like real technical matches with people and try to work on what the people are gonna buy. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why it's such longevity for a long time. I think that's really what kind of kept me there for as long as it did was because of just wrestling, being old fashioned wrestling, so, and then mix some of the other hoo-ha and ha-ha type stuff that needed to be done, from, the hardcore stuff to where, because when I did, I would let people know that I'm completely nuts. So when I got in the ring, I'd be like dipping the guy's blood and rubbing it on my face and stuff like that and making myself look nuts and stuff like that. So I would like get the people thinking I'm completely crazy. So, I mean.
So let me ask you this.
Sure.
Now that you let people know that you were crazy, because I remember you having hardcore matches with blood and everything. There's always, when you're working heel, there's always people that are gonna try to get to you. Do you have any stories about people giving you a hard time, fans?
Man, yeah, okay. I'll give you a hard time. I'll give you a couple of them. When I turned heel, one time I got hit with a cup of piss.
Oh, fuck.
This old lady hit me with it. I was walking back to the back and I was like, "What the? Oh my God!"
Oh, you know what? I got a story.
Sure.
I spit a piece of gum to you when I was like 13, 14 years old. I remember that though. And I remember, and the security guy saw me and he was like, "Dude, really?"
I got hit with a dirty diaper one time in the back of the head. I got hit with. The part about throwing rocks and batteries and stuff. I would like run out of the dugout as fast as I could.
Jeez.
Stuff like that. Stuff like that happened. I mean, I got my tires slashed one night. That was a funny story.
All of them?
Yeah, I got like 4 tires slashed one night, and I had to rent a
God.
car. I was in, I think, Ponce or something. And
On a rental?
Yeah, it was a rental. I had to pay a little bit on that.
That's petty.
No, but what happened was it was one of the nights I think Carlos told me that I was going to start a riot. And when I did, I came out and I saw what happened. And I come back the next week, and then the crowd's bigger, and he looks at me and goes, "You know what you did last week? Yeah, can you do it again?"
Right.
I was like, "Listen, you go to pay the car bill?" He started laughing. He goes, "Yeah, sure."
That's crazy.
But that's the kind of stuff that would happen, just because I think at the time when I think I just kind of was one of those guys that came, during my heel run, I think I just came along at the right time, and I think during that time it was the whole NWS thing was going on too, and they were trying to do some stuff, and I looked at it like this: well, this is an opportunity for me to step up, so I'm going to step up, and I'm going to rise to the occasion. So, and I stopped, and the other thing too that I stopped doing was I stopped watching the competition. I used to watch the competition a lot, and everybody used to do that. And I just said, you know what? I'm gonna stop watching them. So I did. I stopped watching them, seeing what they're doing, and just focus on what we're doing. And then next thing I know, they started doing this, and I was like, okay. Well, apparently this crap's working. So it's just. I think when you start in this business, when you stop worrying about everybody else and just focus on yourself, then you'll see how much farther you go along. That's like anything in life, I think.
Because I do remember, I've heard stories about that locker room, how many guys had to come and pitch in because the competition was so hard. I've heard stories of how the whole locker room had to be rebuilt at once. And I'm not going to get into details because there's some people that actually told me this, but people have to actually work extra hard so that everybody, could at least get paid, in every show. And it ended up working, man. I tell you, people can talk anything they want about Carlos and Jovica, but these people are strong. They're not going to move. You're not going to move these people, regardless of what you put in.
And that's true. And I don't have complaints about them at all. I know other people do. And whatever, you know, and my whole thing is the logic I got years ago from Eric Perez or Eric Alexander's dad, who was a boxing promoter. He said, well, I'm going to give you some Don King logic. And I said, what's that? He goes, learn this in this business, in any fight business. You got to understand this about a promoter. If you can't make me any money, what makes you think you deserve to get paid? And I go, that makes sense. I think if you understand that, everybody's me. But it's the whole thing is what can you do for them to get what you want? And what I thought of was, what can I do for them to make them money so I get something in return? And that's how it worked. And then people would like, I kayfabe people a lot about the cash and stuff, because to me it was like, they're paying me. Well, what are you getting? I don't know, man. I'm good. I'm like you, man. And I was like, I would say that because I didn't feel like getting into a fight with anybody. I didn't feel like arguing with somebody or whatever, or them trying to bury me politically. So, you know, I was like, I know that I'm going into a lot on that sense, but, you know, that's just how I felt about it. I said, listen, because I'm doing whatever it takes that they want me to do to make the product better so that we all get paid.
Yeah.
That's how it works. And that's the thing that a lot of people, I think, don't seem to understand that. You know, it's just like the job I work for now. They love me right now, but it's the fact is that I'm making money. And that's the whole thing about it. You have to make them money, because if not, you're a liability after a while. You don't need to be around.
What have you done for me lately? Pretty
exactly.
much.
You become a liability. And do you want to become a liability, or you want to become a profitable entity? What do you want to do? You know?
So I want to touch base with something. How many tryouts you did for WWE throughout your career?
About 5.
Your first one was with Andy Anderson, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they were actually going to use that on TV, but then decided at the last minute they weren't going to do it. But yeah, that was a big deal. That was actually a big deal, because they at one point they were getting kind of desperate on some stuff. And you know, IWA, I have to admit, when our first year or two I was there, 3 years I was there, IWA was kicking our butt. I would say about the first 2 years I was there.
Yeah,
they were kicking our butt. I mean, they were. I mean, we were close to going out of business at one time. And I was like looking at what can I do to help, because everything else, they were throwing a lot of hokey crap out, dude. I'm not going to mention names with people, but some people were throwing some hokey stuff out there with WWC. And I was just like sitting there going, dude, where do you come up with this shit? Oh, excuse me. Where do you come up with this crap? You know what I mean? So, I mean, and I had a little heat with that guy too, because he tried to bury me also. So, because I made him look stupid in the locker room one time.
With Andy?
No, somebody you might know.
Oh, yeah. I've heard.
Somebody you might know. It starts with a B. He tried to wrestle with me one day because he said he was an amateur wrestler, and we went at it in the locker room and basically made him look really stupid, and kind of everything he did, I stopped. And then I got on top of him, put him in a chokehold, and he was like, and when I got up, he kept coming after me. And then after that, I think I made an enemy after that, because he tried to bury me. Because remember that time, I'd say back around 2004, I was getting destroyed. Like on TV, I was getting killed all the time. I mean, I lost like Jason X and or not Jason X, or whoever, that one guy, Jason or whatever. They beat me in like 3 minutes.
The son of Jason?
Whatever his name was, you know, whatever, the guy that was a mark for himself or whatever. That's all I know. That's all I remember about him. I remember one time he tried to do something at a battle royal one time after that, and he tried getting stiff with me, and I grabbed him and I threatened to throw him belly to belly him over the battle out over the top rope. He goes, what? I'm holding him up. I'm about to throw him, and I said, "This is real." I said, "This is real, bitch." I said, "This is not freaking a work where you're going to look good. In real life, I'm going to kick the shit out of you." And he's like, "Hey, man, I'm good. I ain't got no problem with you." I said, "No, you don't." I said, he goes, "I'm playing around." I said, "Well, I'm not." I said, he said, "I'm supposed to win the battle royal." I don't care. You're about to get thrown out of it right now.
We'll see about that.
That's just how stuff would happen sometimes. I mean, there was guys in that business. I mean, there were guys there, they test you.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was like one of those things that like, okay, well, let's test the gringo, see how good he is. And I let them know. I mean, sometimes I get hit with people for it, but hey, listen, you're not going to make me look stupid, and you're not going to, you're not going to kick my ass. So it's not going to happen. So that's kind of my logic on that.
A lot of people will try to test, your game when you go there.
Oh yeah, they would. I think it was also too, and some guys would kind of just take it and do whatever. And I took it for a while, and then after a while, I got tired of it. I mean, it got to the point where me, Fidel, and Ricky actually did a bet one time to get money out of the boys, and it actually worked. We did a shoot match one time in an arena where me and Fidel like really like got everybody going on that, and it got to where everybody was betting like $20. And in the night, and Fidel had everybody convinced he was going to beat me. He had everybody convinced. He was like, so they all bet on him, and they tried to say something to Hercules like, "Out." He goes, "Man, I ain't betting." He said, "Why?" He said, "Because this young kid's going to mop the floor up with freaking Fidel," just being funny, And he was like, "I'm not betting." He goes, so we get out there, we do a match, and we were kind of work and shoot kind of thing, and I end up throwing Fidel, and then everybody's like, you see everybody, you looking over at all the boys like, fuck. And then at the end of the night, we split all the cash. So me, Ricky, and Fidel did. So
you said you talked about mop the floor. I've heard a story about something in between the lines of you guys went to, I think it was Lupi's, I think it was in Isla Verde, and at the end of the night, where in the morning time, somebody ended up mopping the place.
Yeah. One time it was me, Sandman, and Tim Arson, God rest his soul. Anyways, we were all hanging out one night after a show, and we were, and that guy Sandman, he can go all night, man. So it's like we were just hanging out with him. So anyways, we met up with these girls, and these girls knew who we were. So we were talking to him, and next thing you know, we had Tim hold the fort down. Me and Sandman went out and got with these two girls, and then come back, and then it was like getting to be early morning. We come back to the place, and Tim's still there. And we're like, he's still sitting there having a drink, and I think he was talking to some girl or whatever he was doing. Anyways, we come in, and it's like light, it's like daylight, and we're like, Sandman grabs the mop from the guy, says, "I got it." Starts mopping the floor. And I'm like, "Hey, you got some more margaritas there?"
Oh my God.
We're still pounding margaritas. He's mopping the floor, and I'm just looking at him like out of his mind. But it's like, it was guys like that. Sabu, he was great, dude. He was funny. I had a lot of good times with a lot of good people there. A lot of good guys. I mean, I even saved people from getting arrested. I remember one time I saved X-Pac from getting arrested one time. Him and Orlando Jordan one time. That was crazy. I'm not going to get into it, but I'm going to get into it. But I mean, that's the type of thing I was. I was that guy that everybody went to, and I basically, when you were there, I was kind of like had your back. Made sure
you've already been there for so long.
Yeah, so I pretty much. And the funny thing is the cops were ready to arrest them, and the only reason, and me and Apollo were the guys outside stopping them. And the cops like talked to us for a little bit. They said, "Well, if you guys can vouch for them, then no, they're good." And I'm like, oh, "Okay." So I forget who all was with us. I think it was me. And X-Pac never forgot it, because every time I go to an indie or I see him, hey, how you doing? This guy saved my ass. And I was like, no, he did, because I mean, it was me. I think it was me, Apollo. I think I don't know sure if Dustin Rhodes was with us or not. He might have been. I don't think he was. It was Orlando. It was another time he was there. He was there a lot too. Me, Orlando Jordan, I think, X-Pac, Jose Rivera Jr., and Jason X. And we were all hanging out, and just some BS was going on or something. And I don't know, it was crazy. That's one of many.
I'm sure.
Yeah, trust me. It was definitely I have to say that whole 5 years was a big time roller coaster ride. So it was like, ups and downs and ins and outs and, whatever. And, but I enjoyed myself. I had a lot of fun. So
I heard the one time you and Ricky Santana went back to the rental, and somebody has stolen something from the car.
Yeah, we were getting with our with our rent-a-car, we used to, when me and Ricky would ride together, he was my roommate at the time, and we would come out in the morning to check the car because somebody would steal our airbags every morning. We would have it and we'd have to go trade it in. And I was like, man, we're getting worked by these people or something. And Ricky was the same way. We're getting worked by these people. I don't know what's going on. Because then we come back and be like, oh, brother, I don't know. Yeah. I was like, who the hell steals airbags? I mean, I thought maybe they were looking for money or something. No, they stole the airbags out of the car. And I'm
Not
like,
the tires.
No tires, no nothing. Dang airbags. Who steals airbags? I don't know if anybody steals a dang airbag.
Probably them junkies know something you don't know, you know?
Maybe it's the C4 in there or something.
Me? Yo, we getting hella money for these airbags, you know?
Yeah, man, we got some C4 in here. You did a bomb, baby.
Probably.
Right, for real.
So it was a crazy run in Puerto Rico, and I know you enjoyed it. Is there anything that you missed from those times?
I miss the crowds. I miss the people. I missed doing what I loved. You know, I mean, it was fun. I got to pay. I mean, who gets to do that? I mean, I was an amateur wrestler. I never thought I'd be a pro wrestler. And I got into it by luck. You know, I mean, we talked about that before with Gerald Briscoe. I got into it by luck. I got into it, and it was just a ride. And then after that, you know, I'm in front of huge crowds, you know, and baseball stadiums and stuff and everything like that. And these people, I remember the anniversary show when people let me know that I had finally I had arrived. You know, I mean, my last anniversary, I was there, and like people actually stood up, like people were booing me with the Star Spangled Banner forever because I didn't really care for the whole senior status of Nito's gimmick because I thought I was ripping off Kurt Angle, but they wanted me to do it, so I did it. I was like, whatever. If you think it's going to make money, let's do it. Because that's how I was. Whatever you think is going to make money, let's go with it. So, anyways, I did it, and the whole crowd let me know. They all had American flags in their hands. They were all standing up. They all stood up and put their hands over their heart and started like standing up for the Star Spangled Banner. Everybody did. There were signs that said Brent Dail is WWC, and I was trying to hold back the tears. I was sitting there going, "Oh my God, I've like arrived at this place," you know. And people, by the end of my run, people would not boo me. They wouldn't boo me, and it was like, and when I left, I think my last match was 450.
Okay.
And we had a lot of great matches and a lot of barn burners. And when I left, I basically told the people thought that I basically said, they thought I said, I love you. I said, I'll see you. That's what I said. Te llamo or something. They thought I said te amo. And I think I did. I think I ended up saying it. Whatever. The whole crowd went nuts because I was basically saying I was leaving. I wasn't retiring. I think they thought I was retiring, but I wasn't retiring. I was leaving the island. I was ready to go. I've been there long enough. I felt like it was time to go.
Would you come back if you had the chance to Puerto Rico and work for
Never
Carlos?
say never. Never say never. So it's basically one of those things that they want me to come back. Great. You know, I'm all for it. Have talked to Eddie and Orlando a couple of times, and I don't know how Carlos and Jovica are. I don't know if I got any heat with them or not, but you know, how I left and stuff like that. Cause I think Carlos tried to hook me up with a teaching job. They were trying to do everything they could to keep me around. And I was just dead set on leaving and then going to try to see if I could get into WWE one more time, you know, because I think my problem was, and I don't know if we had talked about it before, but I think that I was always trying to get somewhere else when I was there. I enjoyed myself when I was there and it was a lot of fun, but I think I could have enjoyed myself more because I always felt like I was looking towards a destination. You know what I mean? I was always looking towards it. And maybe if I kind of stopped and smelled the roses a little bit, it would look a little bit better. So, but that's probably about it. But I mean, the people let me know they really like me. I mean, and they've talked to me about it. But right now I got some things in my personal life. I got to get some loose ends I got to tie up and things like that. And then after that, I'll probably be game for just about anything. So, you know, that's kind of how I look at it.
So, Brent, we've been for a little bit over 49 minutes now. I think we've covered pretty good stuff on your career. I just want to thank you for the time. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Oh, yeah. Likewise.
So is there anything you want to tell your fans before we go?
That I love you guys. You guys, I thank you for supporting me. It was a lot of fun. And maybe you'll see me again. And when you do, I'm going to give you your money's worth. That's how I work. So, that's about it. So, but
All right, Brent, thank you very much.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Door's always open here. The floor is always, you can come here and talk with us anytime you want, okay?
Sounds good, man. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
En sintonía con la PRWA suscribiéndote en nuestro canal de YouTube PRWA Back to Attack. Dale like en Facebook PRWA y síguenos en Instagram @PRWA Back to Attack.